Hey fiends! The next animated story time is taking longer than usual because I'm trying out a very different style format, so in the meantime, enjoy this little art challenge. I've seen several other art creators try the same and I was all, I want to do that. And that's my justification. I work in mysterious ways. Anyway, owlbears, a lot of them. These are all different styles from creature-centric series that were a huge influence or inspiration to my own style, and we're gonna kick it off with the original Kinsugimori Pocket Monsters, aka original Pokemon. I feel like it goes without saying that Pokemon influenced a lot of kids, especially in the late 90s heyday. I had one of the original Pokedex books and I would just sit and draw all the Pokemon using it as a reference, and even sometimes tracing from it too. Hey, when you're early in your art journey, tracing can be a powerful tool in recognizing flaws or understanding shapes. Obviously, you should never take credit for something that you traced, but tracing can be a great learning supplement, so never feel ashamed if that's how you started your artistic growth. Back on the subject of Pokemon, Kinsugimori lent a stunning watercolor style to the original 151, and recreating that traditional effect digitally was a little tricky. Essentially, I did the reverse of what you'd typically be able to do with watercolor. I placed the darkest values first and added the textured highlights last. While that's utter blasphemy for anyone that's worked with the medium, it created a similar effect that I was happy with. Since most of the Gen 1 monsters are very reptilian in influence, I let that carry into the owlbear's design. The final pass over the line work is to replicate that pen bleed that happens when the wet paint is overlaid. And there we have it, Cublet and Hootier. Alright, so I know a lot of you want me to do Digimon for the next fusion videos, and we may get to that eventually, but first, Digimon style. I went with the OG Digimon adventure style because that's what I grew up with. While Pokemon definitely had Digimon beat in the games market, Digimon's anime actually tried to tackle tough themes like divorce, strained home life, and sibling relationships, and actually used fantasy monsters to help kids overcome these real-life monsters. Just add respect to the Digimon anime, but their games were terrible. I can remember trying to draw these Digimon from a coloring book that I had and getting so ecstatic that I could draw the eyes right, which, looking back, it was just 2 white circles and a black center, but dang, I was proud. I put the stupid eye design on everything that I could, even when it made no sense. It's funny how early on, when you finally get something right artistically, you just want to flex all over the place, and my 8-year-old ass just had a field day. Anyway, say hello to Cubermon and Owlbearmon. I mean, honestly, most Digimon kind of look like bear bird creatures, so it's like, it's not that much of a stretch. Alright, up next, Bloodborne style. While I haven't played all of the Souls games, I do adore their artistic direction so much. The way the concept artists played with texture and proportion to really drive home how each environment warped their creatures is just, chef's kiss, so good. Bloodborne is my absolute favorite aesthetically, with each being looking so impossibly stretched out and matted in such a beautiful way that pairs so nicely with the gothic Victorian backdrop. Most of the concept art from this particular game rely on a very tight network of dark lines to give that semblance of texture. Specifically, the Cleric Beast's art scarcely has any blended values and leans heavily on the contrast of such values to make that silhouette pop. The goal of a concept artist is to bang out as many clear ideas as quickly as possible, and fast techniques like this help amplify that cause. Sometimes, less is more, and that's still something that I'm trying to manage. Anyway, enjoy this feral owlbear. This werebear owlbear. I liked how it turned out. Alright, up next, Avatar style. I think it's so great that Avatar: The Last Airbender is taking another generation of kids and adults by storm. Just the other day, I was getting the mail, and I watched these neighborhood kids swing around sticks like bow staffs and scream that they were master of all the elements. I was so proud. If you have not yet watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, the entire series is on Netflix. Go watch it. Anyway, this animated series delivers on all fronts, and their creature designs are endearingly imaginative. They typically boil down to 2 animals Frankenstein together and named accordingly, which almost works too well for an owlbear, but I digress. Avatar, despite being a children's cartoon, really leans heavily on the realism of its animal rendering. Most of the proportions and anatomy are well realized in their stylized counterpart. Bears in Avatar have their scapula protruding from their shoulders with fur colors that don't stray too far from realism, while owlbears in 5e are very purple. I try to tone it back just a touch to keep it in line with the Avatar style. I also added a saddle for good measure just because most of the beasts in the series could be tamed, and who doesn't want a pet owlbear? Now, for the finale, I wanted to pick a real challenge, and good lord, Horizon Zero Dawn's creatures are certainly that. There's such care in translating the anatomy of each inspired creature to their robotic counterpart that is just awe-inspiring. I'm not sure I perfectly captured this, but, well, I tried my best to break it down. To tackle this design, I built from the shapes rather than pure line work, and laid out a foundation of inorganic pieces until I got the silhouette that I liked. This method is usually referred to as sculpting out the forms, and is a fast and loose way of figuring out a piece. If you want to get your feet wet trying something like this out, you can download something free like Alchemy, which is a shape builder art program. I just went with Photoshop and a couple square inorganic shape brushes that I had, but any decent art program will work. Once you have a good foundation laid out, then you get to sit your butt down and finish the owl. Or owlbear in this case. AKA you have to render out the shapes so that they make a cohesive piece. Which can be the most tedious part of the method or fun, depending on your perspective. It can be kind of meditative if you put on a podcast and just clean up the messy bits. Although I might have added too many spiky bits at the end, I thought it turned out okay. Hey, hope you enjoyed this little experiment because I certainly had fun with it. If you have some styles you'd like me to try out when I attempt this again, comment them down below and I'll collect your suggestions and roll for them next time. Also, special thank you to my patrons that continue to support me. Good lord, I couldn't keep doing this without you, so thank you so much, you guys. It means a lot. Oh, one last note, I'm probably gonna try streaming again soon. My internet wasn't strong enough before, and I moved to somewhere that did, but then terrace sweat hit my voice really hard, and I couldn't talk for long periods. But now that it's evened out some, I might give it another go soon. No pressure. Alright fiends, see you next time.